Exodus 18. Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard about all that God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Moses' wife Zipporah after he had sent her back, and her 2 sons, one whom was named Gershom, for Moses had said, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. And the other was Eliezer, for Moses had said, the God of my fathers has been my help, and my deliverance delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, together with Moses' son and his son's wife, came to Moses in the wilderness, where he was camping by the mountain of God. He said to Moses, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you along with your wife and your 2 sons with her. Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. They each asked about the other's welfare, and then they went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and to Egypt for Israel's sake, and all the hardships that had come on them along the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. Jethro rejoiced because of all the good that the Lord had done for Israel, whom he had delivered from the hand of Egypt. Jethro said, Blessed be the Lord, who has delivered you from the hand of Egypt and from the hand of Pharaoh, who has delivered the people from the Egyptians' control. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all the gods, for in the thing in which they dealt proudly against them, he has destroyed them. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifice for God, and Aaron and all the elders of Israel came to eat food with the father-in-law of Moses before God. On the next day, Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood around Moses from morning until evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw all he was doing for the people, he said, What is this you are doing for the people? Why are you sitting by yourself? And all the people stand around from morning until evening. Moses said to his father-in-law, Because the people come to me to inquire of God. When they have a dispute, it comes to me, and I decide between a man and his neighbor, and I make known the decrees of God and his laws. Moses' father-in-law said to him, What you are doing is not good. You will surely wear out, both you and these people who are with you, for this is too heavy a burden for you. You are not able to do it by yourself. Now listen to me. I will give you advice, and may God be with you. You be a representative for the people to God, and you bring their disputes to God. Warn them of the statutes and the laws, and make known to them the way in which they must walk, and the work they must do. But you choose from the people capable men, God-fearing men, men of truth, those who hate bribes, and put them over the people as rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10. They will judge the people under normal circumstances. In every difficult case they will bring to you, but every small case they themselves will judge, so that you may make it easier for yourselves, and they will bear the burden with you. If, if you do this thing, and God so commands you, then you will be able to endure, and all the people will be able to go home satisfied. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he had said. Moses chose capable men from all Israel, and he made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. They judged the people under normal circumstances. The difficult cases they would bring to Moses, but the small cases they would judge for themselves. Then Moses sent his father-in-law on his way, and so Jethro went to his own land. Of my favorite passages here in Exodus, it's one of my favorites. Jethro shows up, Moses' father-in-law, who he lived with for 40 years. Okay? And I don't care if the 40 is symbolic or not. Doesn't matter what it is. He lived up to this point, he's lived half of his life as a shepherd with Jethro, his father-in-law. And I know when he gets introduced, I never remember the other name that he's introduced when the daughters are there, but then he says his father-in-law is the priest of Midian. Anyway, he's a shepherd there. He shows up. He brings his wife, Zipporah, and his 2 sons back to him. So we had the weird event with the circumcision, Moses being ill, and then she circumcises the boys, and she knows how to do it properly, throws the foreskin at Moses, and is like, "You're a bridegroom of blood to me." And then we move on with Aaron showing up, and he goes through the Exodus. Apparently, after that event, she goes back home. She does not proceed to go with Moses and Aaron to Egypt. So she just kind of like disappears from the story, and now we find out Moses had sent her back. When did he send her back? Did she make it to Egypt, and then he gets there, and then he sends her back with the boys? Don't know. But what would have been interesting is, if they were in the land and the plagues happened, Moses is doing everything, they would have been fine. The firstborn wouldn't have died. But apparently they were home with grandpa, and his wife was there. So he brings the family to reunite the family. But what's really interesting is that he says, "I have heard everything that God did." And so the God of my father has been able to help and deliver me from the sword of Pharaoh. Anyway, he comes because he heard what was happening. He heard that they were there. He has heard about it. Now, I don't know if he heard about the Amalekites that were just defeated or not, but he shows up after the Amalekites. We don't know what time we are now. We know we're past 2 months. He shows up. Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, bowed down and kissed. They each asked each other about the welfare, and they went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for the sake of all the hardship, and they had come along the way, and how God had delivered them. So he's giving them the whole story. Like, I've heard about what happened, but I want to really know what happened. Jethro rejoiced because of all the good that the Lord had done for Israel, whom he had delivered from the hand of Egypt. Jethro said, "Blessed be the Lord who has delivered you from the hand of Egypt and from the hand of Pharaoh, who has delivered the people from Egypt's control. Now I know the Lord is greater than all the gods, for in the thing in which they dealt proudly against them, he destroyed them all." Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law. Notice how they keep saying Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, his father-in-law. Like, it's just like, okay. And, anyway, it's just like, if you just introduced him as Jethro, the father-in-law, you could just keep saying Jethro, I think. But he brings a burnt offering and a sacrifice to God, and Aaron and the elders of Israel came to eat the food with the father-in-law of Moses before God. So we have not actually gotten to the sacrificial system being laid out yet. However, before, we already have Abraham who does sacrifices and offers a meal. And one of the things that you do in your sacrifices is there's participation in the meal. We have this false idea, it seems like, that you just killed the animal, you burned the animal, and that was it. That's not it. There's grain offerings, there are drink offerings, and there are animal offerings. Okay? In those, there's participation. Yes, there are some portions that get burned. Those are the portions being dedicated to God, given over to God by burning them, so you aren't consuming them, but you participate in the meal. You participate in the meal that is being offered to God. It's not just we give it to God because God needs to eat. God doesn't need to eat. And even when we get later on the showbread, is for the priest to eat. The showbread is not for God to eat. God is totally different than all other of the pagan religions around, all the ancient religions. The gods needed you to bring them stuff. You needed to provide for them to do this. God doesn't need you. God is the one providing manna and quail in the desert. He doesn't need you to provide him anything. So when you make an offering, it is a celebration, and giving glory and worship are the aspects that are happening, and participation in that. So this is why Moses invites the elders in to celebrate what God has provided, what God has done. Moses, Aaron, the elders are all there to come and eat. Now, I don't know how many animals you need to do that. It doesn't tell us how many animals. It just says he brought burnt offerings, plural, and sacrifices for God, however many it took, so that everybody could participate in the celebration and praise of God for what he had done. Tomorrow, you didn't know that. Yeah, you participate in the meal. It's also one of the things later on when you have a Levite in your town and you're going up to make your sacrifices, you bring the Levite from your town with you so that the Levite would get a portion of that. So, there would be those things. And whoever receives the sacrifice, who's burning it, that priest gets part of the sacrifice. So you have the participation with the priest. You have participation with others when the meals are offered. So I think it's really cool. It's a participatory activity. Here's a good example of it before we get into the sacrificial system of, hey, I'm sacrificing this to God. I am dedicating, I'm doing offerings to God. We eat that together. So on the next day, Moses sat down. So we have Jethro shows up. Jethro has a celebration. We don't know what day of the week it is. It doesn't matter. And then the next day, Moses sits to judge the people. Now, I really wish we had a different name than judge here, because we just think of a judge in a courtroom with robes and a gavel. And this is not what is happening here. A judge in the Old Testament is a person that is going to restore relationship. They are going to put things back in right order. That is what a judge seeks to do, is put things in right order. In our criminal justice system, there is no putting things in right order. There is judging guilt and passing out punishment. You might be able to say, well, in civil cases, the judge is trying to restore order. True. But restitution is probably more the goal there than is relationship. The idea is to bind relationships back together is part of the idea of what judges in the Old Testament do. They are going to restore community and relationship. So if you've wronged someone, there is going to be restitution to help restore relationship. If you can't find a way to do that, they're going to give you a pathway to restore relationship when restitution cannot fully be made, or maybe there's a substitute for the restitution. So we need to have that idea, and I don't know what word would actually convey that. I don't have a better one. So I know we use judge, but I feel like at times I just have to go and explain that again and again and again, because we misinterpret the idea here. So he's not sitting here ruling in favor of someone. He is here restoring relationships with people. So he stands around from morning until evening. I don't know if he literally is standing, but that would be not so much fun. When Moses' father-in-law saw what he was doing, he said, "What is this that you are doing for the people? Why are you sitting around by yourself?" And all the people stand around from morning until evening. So Moses' father-in-law watches for the day, and then he asks, "What are you doing? Why are you doing it that way?" He lets Moses say it. And I think one of the reasons he lets Moses say it is so Moses can hear how ridiculous it is. This is a great tactic. Okay, this is what, like I said, I love this chapter. Jethro doesn't tell him what you're doing is wrong to start with. He lets him explain what he is doing, and it should become then self-evident what he is doing is wrong. Okay, so Moses said to his father-in-law, "Because the people come to me to inquire of God. When they have a dispute, it comes to me, and I decide between a man and his neighbor and make known the decrees of God and his laws." So Moses explains, everybody's got to come to me to inquire of God. We have there on the footnote of inquire. Okay, yeah, just nuancing it. That's all that's there. So Moses' father-in-law said to him, "What you are doing is not good. You will surely wear out, both you and these people who are with you, for this is too heavy a burden for you. You are not able to do it by yourself." Like, okay, you're going to wear out, and the people are going to wear out. Like, can you imagine waiting in line all day long and your case doesn't get heard? So now you got to come back the next day and wait in line all day, and your case doesn't get heard, like, because the line just keeps getting longer because there are more people that didn't get heard the day before. And so, like, if you're able to take a number and stand in line and stay there, I don't know how they did that. But anyway, so that's a problem. So Jethro points this out. But I'm just thinking here, what is this word not good? Is it ra? I want to know if this word is ra. If what you are doing is ra. I don't know if that's it, but I'm very curious. The thing that thou doest is, no, lo tob. It is not good. Okay, so it's just lo tob. So it is not ra. So he is saying it is not good. So, but the fact he uses good. So when God does creation, he says everything that he saw was tov. So everything was tov good. Here it is lo, meaning not tov. It is not tov. So it's not ra. Ra would be bad, evil. So this is just not good. Okay, fascinating. And I just had that thought. Now we know. Chilling with breakfast time. All right. I'm glad to have you. So he points out, you're going to wear out and the people are going to wear out. So not only do I point out the problem, he comes with a solution. Why would he possibly have a solution? Remember, he's a priest of Midian. We don't know how old he is, but he is, with Moses for 40 years. He's been a priest before Moses showed up. He had daughters that Moses, so he's I don't know how old, but Moses is 80, so he's older than that. He's been a priest for a while. He's going to know how you solve and do problems because as a priest of Midian, he was going to have been doing some of these things. So he's going to pass on some wisdom to Moses that as a shepherd, maybe Moses never needed to know. Okay, listen to me. I will give you advice, and may God be with you. Okay, so may God be with you. So may this be what God wants you to do. And then he gets at the end and he says, and if God instructs you to do this, I'm going to give you advice, but take it to God, see if this is the right way to do things. You be a representative for the people to God, and you bring their disputes to God. Warn them of the statutes and the law, and make known to them the way in which they must walk. The walk is your way of life, and the work they must do. So, in the regards to you establishing what the rule is, you go to God. And when there's a new thing that you don't know, you go to God. You keep doing that part, Moses. You keep doing that part. Here's where you make changes. But choose from the people capable, God-fearing men of truth, those who hate bribes, and put them over the people. So we have 4 qualifications that you need to look for. They need to be capable, they need to be God-fearing, they need to be men of truth, and they need to hate bribes. Okay, let me see what we have here on any of these. The attributive genitive is the word used here for mighty men of valor. So the word describes the men as respected, influential, powerful people, those looked up to in the community as leaders, and those who will have the needs of the community in mind. So, yeah, capable just feels like they can do the job. Influential men, that has a nicer ring to it, I think. God-fearing men, fearers of God, use of the genitive, it describes those that are devoted to worship and obedient servants. So we got that. Men of truth indicates that these men must be seekers of truth who know that the task of a judge is to give true judgment. The word truth includes the idea of faithfulness or reliability as well as factuality. That's a weird word. Those that hate bribes, that's probably the easiest one there. Haters of bribes hate unjust gain. So, yeah, they're not going to be bought off. So we put those in charge. So you have to have all 4 of those things. And then we're going to have different groupings here. Rulers of 1,000, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, rulers of 10. So thousands, hundreds, so we dropped to 10%. 50s, we dropped in half, and 10, a fifth. So like we could have just went thousands, hundreds, tens, and just had big divisions, but we have 50s in there that changes the pattern. I don't know any significance in that. Now, here's what I don't know. Are those who are ruling over 1,000 then bunched together into hundreds, and then those hundreds bunched into 50s, and then those 50s going up to 10? So, like, is this a hierarchy of these 10 rulers here? If the ones with 50s couldn't solve it, you go up to the 10s. If the thousands couldn't solve it, you go up to someone who sees over hundreds. If you can't solve it in the hundreds, you go up to the 50s. Or are these all just divisions that don't have a hierarchy? Some people are smart enough to be able to rule over thousands. Some are only smart enough to rule over tens. The ruling over tens seems weird if it's not a hierarchy position. So I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe there's hundreds and thousands and 50s that are all out there, and tens are a higher level. I mean, it doesn't tell us. But regardless, there is a division of labor. They will judge the people under normal circumstances, and every difficult case they will bring to you. But every small case they will judge, so that you may make it easier for yourself, and they will bear the burden with you. So the way this sounds is whatever these men are doing, the hard cases they bring to you, they solve everything else. So if they can solve it, if there is a problem, I'll solve it. Don't bring it to Moses unless you can't solve it. There we go. If you do these things and God so commands you, then you'll be able to endure. I love how that phrase is. If you do these things and God so commands. Like, I'm giving you advice, but run it by God. Like, you don't want to go anything against him. So does this seem good? Then you'll be able to endure, and the people will be able to endure, and they'll go home satisfied. Instead of standing around, they will be able to go on their way. Father Hunman, God bless and good morning to you as well, friend. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. Moses chose capable men from all Israel, and he made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of tens. They judged the people under normal circumstances. The difficult cases they would bring to Moses, but every small case they would judge for themselves. You hear when it says every small case, it doesn't sound like there's hierarchy here. But to only have 10 people underneath you seems like really small. Are those 10 people heads of households, higher levels of people? I don't know. We don't have a full sense of how it actually plays out. I don't think we need to, but I just like asking the questions. Does the text tell us? No. Okay, move on. Then Moses' father-in-law went on his way, and Jethro went to his own land. So we get done with this, and Moses sends Jethro back home. So he came, he dropped off his wife, his 2 sons, and now Jethro's going back. Now, it doesn't say like, oh, he showed up one day, here's the next day, I saw what you're doing is bad, and then he gives him instructions that the 3rd day he's on his way back. It just says after this, after he sets it in place, after he establishes, after it's fully operational, just after, future. Jethro entered the story. He did his part. Jethro, exit stage right. No longer going to be part of the story. So